Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Ridiculously Lame Wrestling Show. I am Tony Squares, and I'm joined by Mr. Robert Lentini, a lifelong friend of mine and a man that has been covering the wrestling industry for the past 10 years, now working for Sportskeeda, and we're right there. We're right there, Bob. We are on the road to WrestleMania, mere days away. Next week, we'll be doing a full WrestleMania preview. Right now, though, we're talking about the build towards WrestleMania, sprinkling a little AEW in there because I got a lot to say about my favorite promotion, and all I got to say, would you look at that? You look at that. Would you look at that? Look at that, Bob. Look at that. Would you look at that?
Look at you now. Look at you now. That was one of the greatest attacks. If you don't know what we're talking about, The Rock appeared on Raw this past Monday night. At the beginning of the show at first, interrupted Cody Rhodes.
One of the best entrances I've seen on television in a long time.
We had a 5-minute conversation about AEW's production versus WWE's last week. That entrance for The Rock in that lightning bolt and that shot and then transitioning into the Hollywood heel theme is one of the best entrances I've ever seen. Like, it's not like up there with The Undertaker, but it's perfect. It's pretty damn good for his character. But The Rock interrupted Cody Rhodes to kick off Monday Night Raw, whispered something into his ear. We find out later that he said he was going to make Cody Rhodes bleed. That's what he whispered. He kept true to his promise and then some at the end of the show. My goodness. Cody Rhodes tries to help Jey Uso. The bloodline shows up. A brawl breaks out. Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso battle backstage. The Rock comes out of nowhere, smacks the crap out of Cody Rhodes, starts laying in haymakers, all while saying over and over again, as you illustrated, look at him now. Look at you now. Look at this. About 500 times. And then they go into the freaking parking lot, and it's like a movie, a cinematic experience.
It's raining. It's perfect.
The rain's pouring down. We got spotlight in the background. The Rock's like glistening. He's glowing. He's just shouting obscenities at Cody Rhodes. Brings out Cody Rhodes' mother. Presents a custom Mama Rhodes belt. Busts Cody Rhodes open. Wipes the blood on the belt. He goes, "Look at your son now, huh? Look at your son now." And then he just basically this whole rivalry, this whole beatdown was excellent, and it reminded me of the Attitude Era. Just before we get into it even more, what are your thoughts on it? I'm just rambling here. What are your thoughts on The Rock's epic beatdown on Cody Rhodes on Raw?
No, I don't think you were rambling at all. I think you did a great job of explaining what happened and how awesome it was, because it truly was. You need to go through every beat of that beatdown because it was that powerful. It was that wonderful. And again, I am the guy that watches AEW regularly, and I watch WWE when it matters. And I saw this, and I was permanently sold. Like, if this was the only piece of content I had seen leading up to WrestleMania, I would have purchased the pay-per-view right there. It was perfectly done, and they had to be kissing the sky when that rain started to fall outside, and they knew what was coming. They see the weather out there, and they're like, this is going to be epic. And it was truly wonderful. And now you have all those internet sleuths out there saying, oh, we saw John Cena and Stone Cold on a truck in the background. That means something. And it's like, you lay those. When your content is that good, when your production level is that good, and you hit the note that good, you let all the wrestling fans do the rest of the work. You let all the wrestling fans go in there and say, oh, what did he whisper to him now? Now I need to know what they bleeped out when they bleeped out the word. Now I need to know, all the backstory. Why was why was this shot this way and that shot that way? Let the wrestling fans be the freaks and go crazy and try to internet sleuth their way out of it and just put on the good show. It was dynamite. And my question to you on top of all this, and we can talk about it more if you like, but the first thing I thought of when I saw this was, last week you said that The Rock was outshining Roman in this build, and that Monday Night Raw ending was the best thing I'd seen from WWE in a while, and you're absolutely correct. Is Roman the short man on the stick here? What is going on?
Well, I mean, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes had a face-to-face on SmackDown just a few days ago, and nobody's talking about it because of The Rock's attack on Cody Rhodes. She's just completely stolen the show. So it's almost been like a net negative for Roman Reigns since The Rock arrived in the bloodline. He's just been pushed to the side, even though he's in 2 matches at WrestleMania. It feels like he's not even a part of the show, and he's in the main event. It's all about Cody Rhodes. It's all about The Rock, and I greatly am more invested and interested in the tag team match now than the title match, even if Cody Rhodes wins, just because what this storyline is. This is like not a once in a lifetime. I don't want to be ridiculous here, but it's just they've captured the magic of the Attitude Era, that where it feels like kind of like grainy and real and serious, but it's not, but they get you invested. And that beatdown was brutal. I know the blood didn't look entirely real, but whatever. It got the job done. It sold me. I agree with you. That was one of the best segments I've seen in a long time. And yes, you're right. And I was right last week. Roman Reigns is an afterthought right now. I don't know how they're going to fix that. Maybe they have something go down in the tag team match of night one that makes him and The Rock have an issue, because everybody who gets involved with The Rock right now turns to gold. So except Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns. So they need to figure that out.
We know that the two matches happening at the end of each WrestleMania, the tag match and then Cody versus Roman, but this whole build has felt like it's The Rock who has the title, and Cody's going to be fighting The Rock at night 2 in the main event at WrestleMania for the title. It has nothing to do with Roman, and I am interested to see how we turn into that, because we knew this in the long run, but watching the end of that Monday Night Raw and how over and how into it The Rock is, we talked about earlier what do we think is going to happen in the tag match versus the stipulations for the main event of night 2. The Rock is absolutely going to figure into the end of night 2 because of, this whole build has been surrounded by The Rock and the final boss, and they have navigated this water so well into what they wanted to do at the end of the Royal Rumble to now, and just rolling with the punches. It has been a wonderful ride, and hats off to them. I am genuinely excited for the main event both nights of WrestleMania, and it's because of a 55-year-old wrestler who hasn't been in the ring for 10 years. Like, I'm in love.
Yeah, and just adding to the point of Roman Reigns being like an afterthought, and during the stare down, he had to have the bloodline come to get his back, and then Seth Rollins and Jey Uso show up. The Rock just beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes by himself and looked like a badass while doing so. Roman Reigns keeps relying on the bloodline. He's just making him look weak. It's very weird, but The Rock is just truly like a generational talent, obviously. And just I'll say it for the 15th week in a row. Thank goodness for the We Want Cody movement, because we would have never gotten this heel version of The Rock. That's been the best version of The Rock I've seen in years. Absolutely. I'm so happy we're getting to see this. Very lucky, but I agree. The Rock needs to be factored into the title scene after WrestleMania. Maybe he'll face, if Cody Rhodes wins, maybe he's the final boss, and we'll face him at SummerSlam, and that will be the storyline.
He steals the Money in the Bank from Damian Priest and cashes it in. Like, I don't know. Literally anything could happen.
He can do whatever he wants. He's on the TK board of directors. He can do whatever he wants. So,
and again, next week we will be predicting and breaking down and making what we think is going to happen in WrestleMania. That'll be our WrestleMania preview next week. So subscribe, join the YouTube channel. We're growing. We'll be posting every week, and next week's the big one, man. We're going to go all out. We'll be doing live shows after some of the nights. I'm surprising Robert with that, but that's what we will be doing. It's going to be a blast because we're going to have fun doing it. Let's talk about another wonderful moment from Monday Night Raw. That was, again, I dislike CM Punk so much more than the next guy when it comes to wrestling fandom. I've never been a fan from the beginning. I said earlier, I'm an AEW guy, and what happened in AEW, I fully blame on Punk. Me and Robert can disagree on that, but I've never enjoyed this version of CM Punk in whatever promotion he's been in. And yet, that promo with him and Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins was perfect. It was perfect. Robert, do you want to describe what happened there before we break it down?
Well, yeah, just in a general sense, we finally know what role CM Punk is going to have at WrestleMania 40. He's injured towards triceps. He's going to be on the guest. He's going to be with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole on commentary for the World Heavyweight Championship match. I was kind of hoping he was going to be. Yeah. I mean, as he should. 500,000 additional viewers tuned in to see CM Punk segment. That's just raw facts on Raw. That's indisputable. He's a draw. But anyways, yes, he will put himself over on commentary and take shots at Rollins and McIntyre. But this promo on Raw, what we got here was, first of all, CM Punk just only exclusively returns in Chicago. So he just, the 5th time in 2 years he's returned in Chicago, got a huge ovation. And he's just talking about the injury, and Drew McIntyre interrupts. And do you get the impression that these two guys legitimately hate each other in real life? Because I think all three of these guys, I don't think Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins dislike each other. I think they all hate CM Punk, and he's well earned with his reputation, but it bleeds into the promo. It makes it feel more alive. It makes it feel more real, like the Attitude Era feel that I'm talking about with The Rock. We got it in this segment too. Drew McIntyre interrupts. He's wearing this CM Punk RIP WrestleMania t-shirt. Punk says, I never had to have another man's name on my shirt to sell it, which is wrong because he's had the Big Show's name on his shirt, and he said, I'm a Paul Heyman guy, so I will take shots at CM Punk when necessary. That was a bold-faced lie by the Second City Saint. But yes. And then Drew McIntyre says, I'm the chosen one. And this line, Punk says, oh, yeah, who called you that? Who said that? And I've heard there's reports today. Yeah, and it was Vince McMahon, who is just nobody can mention Vince McMahon anymore because he's a pervert, a sex pest, a piece of crap. That's what
allegedly. I agree with you, but we have to say allegedly.
Allegedly, but yeah, okay, allegedly, yes, but yeah. So he says, who said it? Drew McIntyre refuses to say Vince McMahon. There was reports today that there was a hush backstage when CM Punk said that line. Like everybody's butts just clenched up, like, oh my God. And then they all moved on. But Seth Rollins.
Before you keep going into when Seth came out, I have to say, in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, if you have to look up the term wry smile, that's the smile Drew McIntyre gave after he said, who called you that? It was perfect. I thought Drew handled that very well. Of course, he could have probably said something. I'm sure he had a million things he could have said in that moment, but stayed off because they know it's a subject they're not supposed to talk about. But that wry smile he gave CM Punk said it all. And by the way, we're talking about how CM Punk dove into all these things he's talking about Drew. Drew got some shots in on CM Punk that I thought were well earned and well done. The first one was he's talking about how he's straight edge. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, and yet he spends all his time in rehab. I thought that was primo. So keep going.
Well, yeah, and then you see, like I will call out CM Punk because I am a huge fan of his. Then you see him get sensitive in that moment. And then Seth Rollins, he goes, I've sacrificed, I've paid the price of being a professional wrestler. That's him being sensitive of his injury history. So we'll see. Let's enjoy the CM Punk before his inevitable meltdown in 6 months anyways. But this promo here was electric. Seth Rollins interrupts. He absolutely hates CM Punk. There's no denying that. They trade words. We learned that CM Punk's going to be the special guest referee. The brawl breaks out. Rollins hits the stomp. CM Punk's laughing in the entrance ramp. But that's the gist of it. What other moments did you think stood out to you? Because to me, it's the Vince McMahon line and the fact that was 100% improvised. Punk's been there for only a few months. To have the balls to say that just tells you what a jackass that guy must be on a daily basis. But I appreciate him for it because nobody else would say that on that show. And he did it because he doesn't care if he gets fired. He's been fired from everywhere he's ever been.
By Vince McMahon.
On his wedding day.
The thing I took away from that is, and this has happened a lot with WWE recently, and I don't know if it's because of the regime change or not, but these three men in there, you could tell when some of the lines were meant to be like, you have to hit this point, you have to hit this mark, yada, yada. But that felt like an honest to goodness, real conversation. There was no part of that felt scripted, especially when Punk and Drew were going back at each other and sort of talking over each other. I really felt like that was real. And it's, this is a little bit of a backstory. I moved out to Los Angeles to be an actor. And when I first came out here, they told me you got to take improv classes. And so I took a bunch of improv classes after taking 4 years of a professional acting training, as professional as that can be. Throw that in air quotes. But the thing that killed me in improv and that whole world of improv is when you're on stage with someone else and you're making it up on the fly, there is a ball of energy that you're playing with. And it's a game. You're passing that ball back and forth. And sometimes you take the ball and you do a trick with it. And you say, you hit the button of the joke and you may get the big laugh, but that ball needs to keep moving. And honest to goodness, in that moment between those two men and with Seth in there, that ball of energy kept moving. And you couldn't take your eyes off of it. There were some times where CM Punk stole the ball and started, pinning going 1, 2, 3 with his left hand, as Seth was saying he couldn't be a referee because he was injured. CM Punk definitely wanted to be the star of the show. He wanted to be number one on the billboard, but I thought that ball of energy between the three of them was so well played. And I was fully invested the whole time. I really was. I loved it.
Well, here's what I like with the theme of like Roman Reigns being overshadowed as the champion. I kind of feel the same about Seth Rollins, unless he's in the ring with CM Punk, because CM Punk, he hates him so much. He brings out the best of him promo wise. He's not cackling and being a goof. He's serious. But Drew McIntyre has sold this title match, sold this rivalry. Punk's been on the shelf. He's barely been on the show. Drew McIntyre has been keeping this whole thing alive, and they need to give that man the title. I will be so pissed off if Seth Rollins wins at WrestleMania, unless they're doing a triple threat with Punk and Rollins and McIntyre sometime down the line. But I think McIntyre has to have his moment. We'll talk about that in the prediction show.
We will, but let's talk about that right now, though. We got news that we still don't have a contract for Drew McIntyre.
Right.
So you can't give a man a title if he's going to be a free agent.
Oh, that's a great point. Conti still hasn't signed a new deal, and it expires after WrestleMania. What's going on? If I'm Tony Khan, I'm saying, hey, whatever WWE's offering you, quadruple. I'll give you $50 million a year. Come here. I'll give
Where you want the money wired? You got an interpreter I need to pay off? Let's go.
Like,
I'm in. But
took
again,
CM
so
Punk,
I'm right there with you. I think Drew's been the fire that's burning this whole entire build. But again, can you give that man the title? A deserved title if he wins this. Can you give that man the title? Send Seth off to rehabilitate his injuries if he doesn't have a contract.
Yeah. And just you have to keep McIntyre with he went to Mindy's Bakery before the show. We got to talk about that real quick. Let's talk about that real quick. That just him going there. That's what I want to talk about for a minute here. Drew McIntyre and WWE have done way more to capitalize on CM Punk's meltdown than AEW. And now, is that just a product of CM Punk being a total jackass in AEW and they just had to get rid of him? Or were the Young Bucks at fault there a little bit too and not meeting this said jackass in the middle, CM Punk, to work together? Because without him, I think the audience has dropped off dramatically, and that's not all attributed to CM Punk. There's a number of factors here. The booking wise,
but it's fair to say that they fumbled the bag with CM Punk and the controversy. Yeah. Now the question is, if we had to do blame pie and put out like percentages of blame on this, who gets the bulk of the blame on why it didn't work out? I think a big reason why they didn't go down that road and try to build off of this feud, a very real thing that happened, blood was shed between these men in what shouldn't have been, in a feud purposefully started by CM Punk during an interview live on YouTube with Tony Khan next to him. CM Punk stoked the flames of this and got bit in the ass because of it. What stopped it from building and what stopped it from becoming a wrestling storyline to me was legitimate lawyers got involved and legitimate, legalese, and we have to sign these papers and we have to do this and make these rules now and stuff. And that's what muddied the waters. I guarantee you, if Seth Rollins had his way, he would tell WWE, I never want to be in the same room as CM Punk. Drew McIntyre might feel the same way. But because there is no protection from lawyers, CM Punk is a wrestler, you're a wrestler, this is what we're going to do for the business. They're going to go, that I gotta do it. Got to do it. I don't want to fight the guy. I don't want to be on the same poster as the guy, but that's what's going to make the money and that's what the company's doing. So I have to do it. So if we have to put blame pie on it, AEW does. And I don't know if it's Tony Khan making these decisions, whoever, I think they get a big chunk of the blame pie. The other big chunk goes to CM Punk for being an absolute, what. And then a small chunk of it, we don't know what the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega wanted to or not wanted to do when it came to working with CM Punk. So they're going to get an unknown chunk of blame pie. But to me, that's the smallest amount. That's just my looking into things.
Well, yeah, but here's I have a different opinion, obviously, but we won't get yell at each other here. I think that Punk was hugely at fault initially when he did that rant with Tony Khan directly next to him. That was so embarrassing for the company after they just put the title on him in his hometown. But that was after he tore his triceps for the first time. So maybe he's frustrated about that. There's always extenuating, ridiculous circumstances around CM Punk. I wish he wasn't my favorite wrestler. Just happens to be my favorite wrestler. But here's the thing. He's not like Bill Cosby or some psychopath here. Like people acting like he needs, I don't want to be a poster with him. He didn't kill anybody. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, he punched Mad Nicholas Jackson in the face and maybe A Steel launched a chair. I don't know what happened to that. Larry the dog bit somebody. Something crazy happened to that night. But yeah, he's not like he's a jackass, but he's not a horrible human being. Let's not take it too far. But yes. Yeah, there are a lot of blame going around, but my problem is after it happened, there needed to be, after these suspensions, there needed to be some kind of kumbaya with Jim Ross and everybody, adults there, getting them all in a room and figure it out. because it's just the story won't go away. And maybe it's just people like us talking about it, but CM Punk's presence, his like ghost, is felt in AEW a lot for me.
From what I understand, there was a kumbaya. They were not going to work together, but from what I understand, there was a kumbaya and a solution, and you're going to get Collision now, and that's going to be the CM Punk brand, and the Young Bucks will be over here with Kenny Omega. And then what happened? CM Punk blew up again because he couldn't get over Jungle Boy Jack Perry putting one over on him. Like that, CM Punk pushed the limit again. So if we're going to get mad about that, like, be honest with yourself. They found a solution. They could not do a match together because I believe the legalese behind it. And so they went down this route, and CM Punk burnt it as soon as he got there. He had one match. Before he flipped out and started fighting somebody again. So I don't know. That's my looking at it.
All right. I just don't think an undercard guy like Jack Perry during the kickoff show should be calling out your main money driver, but that's just me. I just think he got what he asked for. And you last week said, why does Darby Allin using real glass? You don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
Stood up for the fake
if you're
glass.
Going to call me out, especially as the big dog, don't punch down because I'm going to punch up, and then you're going to get even angrier, and that's what happened to me. So, but again, that's a lot of talk about CM Punk.
We will talk about
we'll talk about Drew McIntyre. And so we could do a whole 45 minutes debating the merits of CM Punk. But we will talk about Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins moving forward and predicting the championship on the preview show. There is one more WWE thing I want to hit on before we move on to AEW and what they're doing. And that is this week's version of It's Still Real to Me, Damn It.
It's still real to me, damn it.
So, Bob, as you know, I am not the every week, every segment viewer of WWE television, SmackDown, Raw. Now we have WWE Speed on Twitter. Guarantee you I will watch 0% of that. But we also have NXT, which I used to watch regularly, like over and over again regularly. That's how I fell in love with a lot of the stars that are in both promotions at this point. I have not watched a bunch of NXT regularly. I missed most of Braun Breaker's run. I couldn't tell you who the champions are now, but I do know some of the bigger names because I've seen clips, I've seen matches, I've seen big moments. And the It's So Real to Me is mine this week because of what I saw the other day on WWE YouTube or online. And it was a video package that they put together for the current feud between Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Now, I know both these names. I know they were champions. I know their run together. I know they have a feud breaking up, but we have teammates breaking up all the time that turn into single stars. This video package, however, sold me completely on this match. And I just want to throw commendation to whoever made this, whoever organized it, the storyline they put behind it. They got interviews from Randy Orton in there and CM Punk. They made it feel like a real thing that mattered. And I know both these guys are going to continue to be stars when they head up to the main roster, but it drew me in so much onto this match that I will be looking out for it, watching NXT to see the build, paying attention to it week by week until we get to the finish because of this video package. And It's Still Real to Me, man. All it takes is a little bit of storytelling done really, really well to draw in the wrestling viewer that is out there. They will find it, they will see it, and they will become intrigued by it. And I will look to you now, Carmelo versus Trick. How excited are you for this? Did you see the video? Is this something that you've been interested in?
Well, yeah, like you, I used to watch NXT religiously back when it was like Black and Gold and Triple H's Vision, Undisputed Era with Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Johnny Gargano as champion. Those were my days. But I haven't been regularly keeping up with NXT. I read the results, but I don't tune in. There's only so much wrestling I can watch a week.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. But I am invested in this storyline. And Trick Williams, he's getting whooped that Trick chance on the main roster in random segments. It's the main roster crowd is hearing about Trick Williams. So this feud is working. And just to have Randy Orton, CM Punk, like big stars like that, lend their voice to it, just made it like feel even larger than it is. It was like a big fight feel for an NXT developmental territory match. And I think it's at Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend. Like, that's going to be a huge match. And Trick Williams, I think WWE saw Carmelo Hayes as the big star originally. I think it's going to be Trick Williams on the main roster, just his size. It just got everything.
They're both awesome. Yeah. I'm excited. And as I remember the days where the NXT pay-per-views on the same weekend as the WWE pay-per-views, one mattered more and it wasn't WWE.
Right.
And I'm happy to have another NXT match that we know is going to be a certified banger that actually has the build it deserves. I wish we gave more. I mean, obviously you get the Roman and the Rock. Those builds are different, but I wish these types of matches, the sort of, I mean, I know it's going to be probably the main event of the NXT pay-per-view, but it's in the grand scheme of wrestling, a mid-card feud when you're talking about the big names out there. And I wish we gave that dedication, especially in outside of wrestling video profiles to all more of these feuds, because we would care about it more. If you gave me, I mean, you're going to hate this, and I told you I would not bring him up for the 17th straight week, but if you gave me a Chad Gable video package and Gunther, I would care about it immediately because of the story you can tell with that video package. But it's great. It's still real to me, and I can't wait for it. Bob, are you ready for the last time? We're probably not going to talk about him next week because it's WrestleMania build. Are you ready for the last time in the next, I don't know, 10, 14 days? We're going to talk about AEW. You ready for this?
Yep, let's get it over with. No, I'm just kidding. There's some good moments on tonight's show.
There were some good moments. We will talk about the good moments, but we've been far too nice on this show so far. I need to talk about something that is really pissing me off. I gave you a headline 3 weeks ago. We end every show with a headline. We tell you what people are going to be talking about next week in the world of wrestling in both promotions. I gave you a headline a few weeks ago that Will Ospreay, Okada, and Mercedes Moné are going to usher in the new era of AEW wrestling. I think Okada has been presented fantastic. I think Ospreay is as over as can be, and the match that he had this week and past weeks have been exactly what you want out of Will Ospreay. I am, and I'm going to swear here, so if you're mad at that, cover your ears. I cannot believe what the fuck they are doing with Mercedes Moné. It is, I am so, this is a wrestler that is at the top of the field to me. Like if I had to pick any wrestler, any promotion out of a hat, I wouldn't go too far before I picked Mercedes Moné on my draft team. If I was drafting wrestlers, she is to me wonderful in every aspect and an absolute character, whether she's a babyface or a heel. And the 3 weeks of television we've gotten for her on AEW have been downright disastrous. And it's not her. I'm talking about what the fuck are we doing with her? We now have her on commentary watching a four-way match of people that, yes, some matter, some don't. It's the secondary women's title, and she's just sitting there on camera talking to it. And then when the fight breaks out, Julia Hart comes out to knock somebody out. She's walking away on the ramp, sort of giving like, I'll get you later. I understand they're slow building something with Willow Nightingale based off an injury in the past, but Jesus Christ, man, is she not medically cleared? Can she not get into the ring? Can she not have a match? Is there no feud we're building to? It's been 3 fucking weeks, Bob. This is supposed to be the biggest star that you signed in the women's division, and she hasn't done a goddamn thing. Am I losing my mind? You are warring with WWE right now. They are in the biggest build of the biggest year of their whole entire calendar, and you need to go after them. You might not be able to be better than them right now, but you need to draw some viewers away, some headlines away. And how do you do that? With the biggest free agent that you signed, and she's done nothing. I'm so angry about it. I'm so angry about it. You, as another fan of wrestling, what is your take on Mercedes Moné? Don't even know what her last name is anymore because every time they pronounce it, it's different. What's your take on her and AEW so far?
Yeah, I have not been impressed. I really haven't, and that's not through her fault of hers. It's not her fault. The opening, I didn't like her first promo really because if she felt like a politician. The second week it was kind of the same thing, and you liked it a little more. This week, like, what do you do exactly? Like, what do you like? Have her have a match. Have her showcase anything. Give her a squash match. Ospreay's wrestling all over the place here. Like,
exactly.
Okada's already a champion.
Title on Okada already.
Yeah. It's just disappointing. It's like I don't know. There's a problem with Tony Khan with like big stars where he puts them in matches, and I'm not doing this to mention CM Punk. I'm just saying like CM Punk versus Bobby Fish and like shit like that. Like, no, like, why is that match on my screen? Like, let's like why like, and I would even take that from Mercedes Moné at this point.
I would kill to see Mercedes Moné versus Bobby Fish. Like, I would kill to see Mercedes Moné versus I don't care. You name the wrestler, put her up against that zombie character that they have. I don't care. Abaddon, like, put it up. I want to see it.
Well, it's just the fact that, I mean, there's not enough stars in that division, I guess. I don't know what the problem
that's not. It doesn't. She is the star. She is
Right.
the star. So what are you doing with her? You put her in the ring against anybody, and that's appointment television because
Right.
she is the star. We haven't
Right.
done any. I couldn't tell you who she's fighting against. I couldn't tell you. It's been 3 weeks. It's almost a month. Who is her feud? We have a pay-per-view a few weeks away. Who is she fighting? Why is she fighting? We don't know anything. It's been 3 weeks of introductory content. I'm losing my mind.
I don't know off the top of my head. Does Will Nightingale, was that like she's the number one contender now? Is that
She's
what
the
that
number
is?
one contender for Julia
When
Hart's
is that?
belt. Yes.
Is that title match happening next week?
We don't
Or
know.
is it
I
at
mean, it may have
Dynasty?
been announced on there. It may have been announced on
because I want Mercedes
Rampage. I don't know.
I want Mercedes Moné wrestling at Dynasty. She better be on the pay-per-view. But she needs to be in the ring before that. And you're right. Maybe she's not medically cleared. I have no freaking idea at this point. Some of the booking decisions that Tony Khan makes, if you think about him for more than half a second, your head explodes. You just got to accept it that this guy's a little bit of a weirdo, and we'll see if it comes together. But he should have had a concrete, hey, here's your first month of television, Mercedes Moné, banger after banger after banger, huge promo. We're building this star. We need you to interact with her. She's just floating around on screen and sitting on commentary. And she just said nothing. I don't remember a damn thing she said tonight. She might as well not have been there, in my opinion. So it's just, it's just very, very disappointing. And, you'd think he would have some plan for her bigger, but apparently not.
In other AEW news, the tag team tournament turned out exactly the way you thought it'd be. We're going to get Young Bucks versus the Best Friends. Orange Cassidy is still wrestling somehow, and a couple of other really fun matches. But Will Ospreay won his match, fantastic, and then Swerve beat Takeshita in a great match. But we seem to be getting Swerve versus Joe. Is there anything from AEW Dynamite that stood out to you before we move on? Because frankly, again, I am the AEW fan. I want to be on this podcast yelling at you to get us more AEW segments on this show. I have nothing to say. So did anything stand out to you from AEW television this week or the past week?
Well, yeah, just the Undisputed Kingdom, the Mike Bennett and Matt Taven are the ROH Tag Team Champions. They lost to the makeshift team of Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. I know they're in the Best Friends, but Trent Beretta typically teams with Chuck Taylor. So it's not even his regular teammate. So the ROH Tag Team Champions lose to a makeshift team with Orange Cassidy. How am I supposed to take the Undisputed Kingdom, the United Kingdom, whatever we're calling this stupid faction? How am I supposed to take this shit seriously if they can't beat Orange Cassidy? I know he's a great character, and I know he's sells tickets and merch, but they're putting way too much into Orange Cassidy being victorious all the time. The dude can lose a match once in a while. I'm just disappointed. I just hate what they're doing with Adam Cole's faction because Wardlow lost to Samoa Joe. These guys can't beat Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. What's Adam Cole's vision in the wheelchair? What's he concocting? What's he sitting there all day doing for this faction? They're not doing anything important. And the ROH thing, I don't want to go into that, but what a blunder. What a stupid decision it was to buy ROH. If this is what you got an internet streaming show on $9 a month that nobody in the world pays for, and your champions can't beat Orange Cassidy on Dynamite. I don't like what they're doing. I thought Undisputed Kingdom was supposed to be this big faction that took down MJF and were to be taken seriously. They're not. They're goofs. All of them, in my opinion. Even Adam Cole now, I just look at them all as goofs, and that's supposed to be a big heel faction. So that's my takeaway, is just the booking for Undisputed Kingdom sucks.
I have I have nothing to refute. I have no ammo in the chamber, my friend, to refute here, and it's a sad day. Hopefully it gets better. We still have a fun pay-per-view coming up, but it's all WWE at the moment. Let's move on to the social superstar of the week. Again, wrestling in our day and age is not just fought in the ring anymore. It is now fought on the mean streets of the interwebs. And this one surprised me. We had a couple of ways to go. Obviously, Drew Mack and others, the big stars, continuously do well on social media. But this one this week really surprised me. We had a feud between Piper Niven and Bubba Ray Dudley. Bob, you want to go into how this happened?
Well, they were just trading words on social media. Just all of a sudden, things got really personal. And
Bubba Ray started the personal.
Yeah, he said he mentioned her second chin, I believe, and then Piper Niven came back with tisk tisk, calling the fat lassie fat, who's not creative now. But now that we've opened the appearances door, you look like Tom Arnold and Scorch had a baby, and neither of them wanted you. just rip the hell out of Bully Ray. So when Piper Niven's not on television, at least she's, a star on social media. She's been completely ridden off television.
Piper, you win. You are the social superstar of the week. Good on you. I loved every second of it, and I'd take Bully Ray to task, man. He deserves it. Good on you, Piper. And I've always liked Piper from her first tournament all the way to now. I've always think she's been sort of misused, and I hope she gets more wrestling out there as the world turns and we go further. But this was a step in the right direction. Good on you, Piper. Bob, you ready for the gimmicks of the week?
Absolutely.
All right, it's time for the gimmicks of the week. These are the segments of the show that don't get a full segment, but good enough to get a little trophy, to take something home. As Denzel once said, I'm leaving here with something. And first, we have the this is my favorite. I'm happy it's back. The Big Show turn of the week. This segment, we talked about it last week, and it really didn't matter again this week. But I guess Chris Jericho is now the manager of. Why are we doing this? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? He's eventually going to turn on him and hit him with a baseball bat in the back of the head. But again, Chris Jericho's a good guy now. He's managing Hook. Are you excited, Bob?
No, I'm not excited. It's Jericho's pit of despair in AEW. It's just sad. Hook's the next victim. He's just going to waste it away. Well, I guess Jericho said he sees him as a future world champion. So I guess there's some hope. He did mention that during the backstage segment, but Hook deserves so much better, and Jericho needs to go away for a bit.
Let's move on to the jobber of the week. Bob, this is going to you.
I told you.
Yeah, Andrade was originally Andrade El Idolo, the guy who returned at the Royal Rumble and has defeated Apollo Crews. That's his entire story so far since returning on January 27th. He was supposed to battle Ivar of the Viking Raiders. That match got canceled, so they put in Giovanni Vinci of Imperium, who is a tag team wrestler, never wins anything, and he gets in and gets destroyed in 3 minutes by Andrade. So Andrade just winning meaningless matches over Apollo Crews and Giovanni Vinci on the road to WrestleMania. I don't know what the hell they're doing with that, but Giovanni Vinci, congratulations. You get this week's Jobber of the Week.
It is a phenomenal jobber name. And I will say, with this WWE Speed segment coming up, we're going to get a shit ton of jobbers, dude. I'm excited for it. We might have to make their own, put them in their own section. The match can only be 3 minutes. Let's go. Jobber of the week coming at you. And finally, the last gimmick we're going to do today is the Max Dupree Dummy of the Week.
Dummy. Yeah.
This one's near and dear to my heart because Max Caster, again, made a fool out of himself online. I missed some of the things he was doing, but he was pretty much getting mad at everybody again. Bob, what did Max Caster do?
Well, this time he just, for no reason, took a shot at Jay White, and everybody's been taking shots at Jay White. He had that look like he was going to be a main event talent. Now he's in the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, whatever the hell that is, and then they broke up. Now Jay White's just been wasting away. But what Max Caster said was Jay White doesn't have any aura unless he's in Japan, essentially. Well, what the fuck? The Max Caster doesn't have he can't even remember his raps anymore, and that's all he was good at. He sucks in the ring. I hate to say it, he sucks in the ring. I've watched a lot of wrestling. That guy sucks. His talent was on the microphone, but if you're just going to take petty little shots at your own coworkers, that's bullshit. So Max Caster gets the dummy of the week from you and me. Just this guy, you went at him last week. This guy sucks.
Just a waste of a contract. And I feel bad because I like Anthony Bowens. I've actually met Anthony Bowens, a very good dude. Now, I like him a lot, and I would love to see him not with Max Caster anymore. But then again, what will he be? Who knows? And I guarantee you Tony Khan won't book it correctly. Now, even I'm getting negative towards AEW, Bob. You are a bad influence on me. Let's end the show with some positivity. We're going into the headlines of the week. Again, this is when we tell you what the world of wrestling will be talking about at this point next week. And at this point next week, we will be mere moments away, mere hours away from WrestleMania, Bob. So you better have a good one for WWE. What is your headline of the week?
Well, it's not positive. You said Chris Jericho is going to be Hook's coach or manager, whatever the hell. Well, I'm going back to Chad Gable. I said I was going to shoehorn this topic in, damn it, and here we are. Chad Gable, the headline of this week, Chad Gable is going to cost Sami Zayn the Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. He said he's going to teach him a new mentality. They're actually going with the coach storyline. I can't believe it. I hate it. So this is my headline. He's going to cost Sami Zayn the title and get his Intercontinental Championship match at SummerSlam, I guess, when they should have just given Chad Gable the match at WrestleMania. My headline is, this storyline sucks. That's the byline.
All right.
What's your headline for AEW?
Thank you again, Bob, for another wonderful headline. Every week you knock it out of the park. This week's headline for AEW. This week's headline for AEW, and I want to be really purposeful with what I say here and try to end this moving forward. Wrestling is always turning the page and moving forward. So next week, the biggest headline for AEW, the most important headline, the reason why people watch and attend AEW will be. I got nothing at this point.
Oh, Jesus.
I literally have nothing. And that's it for the end of the show. Next week, we might be talking about This Week in Ryback.